Pure Hydrogen's emergence as a first mover in Australia's hydrogen space has been put under the microscope, with Bridge Street Capital initiating research on the budding junior with a target price of 39 cents. It comes amid some recent high-profile changes to the domestic hydrogen sector, with the green energy division of mining major Fortescue now set to abandon its target to produce 15 million tonnes of hydrogen by 2030. But the clean energy wheel continues to turn in Australia, a trend that was underlined in this year's federal budget, where the government announced $23 billion of funding support for the hydrogen industry. And as Pure Hydrogen Managing Director Scott Brown recently told InvestorStream, the company holds an established strategic position in a market that continues to rapidly evolve.
This is the thing, we've got a very different strategy to Fortescue. So we're looking at small scale production that we can scale up and start from a very simple operation to service some of our key customers. So we're looking at Pepsi, JJ Richard, Solo, and some of the other ones we've recently announced, and essentially providing refueling for both truck and buses and also for generators.
According to Bridge Street senior analyst Daniel Sini, there is a substantial policy emphasis on green hydrogen as a potential solution to not only domestic decarbonisation objectives, but also enabling a future high-growth industry with Australia positioned at the forefront globally. And with expectations that cumulative hydrogen production capacity could grow to 45 million tonnes by 2030, Sini believes there are growing tailwinds behind the development of the hydrogen industry in Australia over at least the next decade. A core component of Pure Hydrogen's strategy is its established capacity to deliver hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. Through its strategic investments in H-Drive and H2X, Pure Hydrogen remains a first mover in hydrogen solutions for the heavy vehicle industry. Just this week, the company formally registered the Taurus hydrogen-fueled prime mover, marking an important step forward in the commercial rollout of PH2's hydrogen vehicle fleet in the Australian market. Meanwhile, PH2's HFC garbage trucks now have a significant presence on Australia's east coast, with deployments finalised on the Gold Coast in Queensland, Tweed Heads and Newcastle in New South Wales, as well as on the Mornington Peninsula in Victoria. The company's suite of hydrogen fuel cell vehicles is also receiving plenty of attention abroad. In July, Pure Hydrogen signed separate MOUs with Arms Group in the United Arab Emirates and Vietnamese domestic policy group Vietnam ASEAN Hydrogen Club for the supply of HFC trucks into those regions. It represented the latest foray into international markets for Pure Hydrogen, following a separate MOU in March this year with the state government of Piauí in Brazil. These agreements are also in addition to PH2's growing footprint in the lucrative US market, where it initially secured a purchase order from Californian dealership Nuche Hydrogen in a deal worth approximately $1.22 million last November. Since then, the company has also signed an MOU with Riverview International Trucks, a full-service heavy-duty truck dealership in Northern California, while discussions are now well advanced with several other prospective commercial partners in the US market. However, while Bridge Street's valuation focuses on the massive potential of the HFC vehicle market over the next 5 years, a critical element to Pure Hydrogen's strategy centres around the company's efforts to develop a series of low-cost microhubs to produce green hydrogen for the commercial transport sector. The company recently signed a 5-year lease at Archerfield Airport in Queensland to develop its first hydrogen production microhub, with plans to build out its network in line with the growth of the domestic hydrogen sector.
The key point about this is it's a targeted strategy where we can tailor the supply to whatever demand we have. And as we get more demand, we sell more vehicles, we can scale up our production. And it's a very simple process of adding an extra line. We call it a micro hub. And that's for a reason, because we're very much targeting, small production to start with, but we can grow that footprint as the demand grows for these products. And we know in advance by selling these vehicles what the demand's going to be. That's critical to the way we're thinking about growing our business from a good foundation.
While the micro-hub approach remains in its early stages, it forms a key part of the company's two-pronged strategy of establishing Australia's first network of clean fuel production facilities, while also pioneering the use of hydrogen fuel cell heavy vehicles in Australia. And as Bridge Street's research points out, there is significant value that can be attributed to being a first mover in an industry backed by government funding and underpinned by a global push towards decarbonisation.